Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Blessed and Beautiful podcast. It's your host, Paighton Griffis, and today's episode is going to be so much fun. This is a new kind of episode, so let's get into it. So today we're going to be talking about one of the best books that I've read in a while. If you know anything about me, you know that I am not much of a reader. The only thing I read, to be honest, is the Bible. So I do not read a lot of books, but this book caught my attention so much the whole time. It's Not Supposed to Be This Way by Lysa TerKeurst. So I love this book. My mom recommended it to me because she had read it. She's read this book so many different times, and I was like, you know what? She had told me all about it years and years and years, and I was like, you know what? One day I just picked it up and I was like, I'm gonna start reading it. So I got it off of our bookshelf and I started reading it and I fell in love with it. There are 11 chapters in this book and I loved every single word that was in this. Like all this book, Lysa shares she's so honest in this book. She shares so much about her life, her divorce, her health diagnosis. She shares so much about trusting God and trusting God when life gets hard and when life is not easy. So this book is truly such a good testament to how Lysa trusted God and found hope and joy in the trials. And, she believed that God was good the whole time. So I'm super excited for today's episode. It is just going to be so much fun. So, yes, like I said, there are 11 chapters, and I'm going to read the little thing in it. The little, motto kind of thing of the book. It said, "Finding unexpected strength when disappointments leave you shattered." And I like the title of the book. It said, "It's not supposed to be this way." Because you go through things in your own life and you're like, my life is not supposed to look like this. Like, why does my life look like this? And it's hard to trust God in those times. So that's what this book is all about. I wrote down a ton of my favorite quotes from this book that I read. So we're just gonna get into all of the awesome, amazing quotes that Lysa wrote about in her book. It's Not Supposed to Be This Way. It's an amazing read. So if you have not read it, go read it. I will put the link in the description so you can go buy one if you would like to. We have so many of her other books at home that I am so excited to read. So let's get into it. So one of my favorite quotes that I really took in was, "If the enemy can isolate us, he can influence us." So if the enemy can get you into one part of your life, like if the enemy can get you to be isolated away from your friends, your family, even especially God, he can definitely influence you to do so many different things. So another one is trusting God is hard, right? And we know that God gives us promises and salvation is one of those promises. So, but if we want God's promises, we have to trust his process. And his process does not always look the way that we want it to look. His process might be dirty. His process might not be this fantastic life is amazing kind of thing. Like sometimes his process, it seems terrible for us. But if we want God's promises, we have to trust his process, even though the process might not be the thing that we want to be going through. When you are in a difficult time, I find it that God is not answering my prayers and I want him to answer it now and I want him to answer it in this way. But one of the quotes that I put down is, "God will answer our prayers." This is straight from the book. I love this quote too. It says, "God will answer our prayers at the right time in the right way." So God, I could be praying for something right now and it might not happen until a year later. It might not happen until months later. But sometimes I don't need that prayer to be answered right now. Maybe I needed that prayer to be answered 2 years from now. Like and it's all a part of trusting him and trusting his plan. And it's not easy. We have to trust his process and we have to trust that he will answer our prayers in the right time and in the right way. Not the way that we want, but in his way. When we are talking about prayer, this is another one of the quotes that I put down. That God doesn't want us to handle it all on our own. In fact, he just wants us to hand it to him. He does not want us to deal with it on our own. He does not want us to have that burden on us. He does not want anybody to have that burden. He just wants us to give it to him. Not a little bit of it, all of it, the whole situation. Because he is the one that can truly, truly handle it. And we cannot. So that is just something that I put down because I love that. He wants us to completely hand it over And that is so hard to do, but prayer is one of the things that you can do to make sure that you hand it over to God, because he does not want us to handle it. So when life does not go the way that it should look, don't try to fix it on your own, because I promise you, you cannot. I know you want to fix it. Me, I'm a control freak. I love to fix things, but like you just have to learn, like, I cannot fix that. And some point you just have to accept that and give it to God and be like, okay, God, it's yours, because I know that I cannot fix it. When we are going through pain and suffering and hard times, just when life goes wrong, and we are like, God, why is this happening? We ask that question. If I cannot be the only person out there that's asked that question, I know so many other people that have asked that question. God, why is this happening to me? God, why did you let this happen? Thing is, God doesn't cause pain or the suffering, he allows it. And he allows the pain and suffering into our lives for a reason. Like in James, it talks about how, like, we go through trials because they test our faith and they grow our faith. I've been talking about endurance the last couple weeks with my amazing friend Dalton, and he has helped me so much, because I've been like, why is God letting all this stuff happen in my life? I was like, why is all this stuff happening in my life? And he's like, Peyton, it's because one day you're going to look back on all of this and it's going to be for a reason. It's going to because now you can see, like, when you're in the storm, you can't see the outcome, but when you get to the outcome, you can see, okay, I went through that storm because it grew my faith, and now I can help other people with their walk with Christ or this storm that they're going through. So it's all about, like, trusting God and realizing, like, okay, I'm going through this pain and suffering for a reason, and God is allowing it. But he's not allowing it because he wants to watch us hurt. He's allowing it because he wants us to grow our faith and he wants us to trust him. When we are going through our pain and suffering, the one thing that we need to do is we need to fight the enemy. And fighting the enemy is not easy. In this book, there is a chapter called Fighting Words. It was one of my favorite chapters. It had so much scripture in it. She put so much scripture in this book. And one thing that I love about what Lysa did in this book is that at the end, she put all the scripture in it. So it's amazing. I will put some of it in the description, but it's so good. You can just go and study all the scripture that she has in there in the book. And I just love that she put scripture in there, because, like, in the chapter Fighting Words, talks all about how we can fight the enemy with these words, and how we need to fight the enemy using God and using his truth and using what he says to fight the enemy, because we cannot fight the enemy on our own. We will fail. We cannot fight the enemy on our own. And it's like, it makes you kind of feel weak, but we know that God is strong, and God is strong enough to fight this for us. And we can fight it, but not with things of the world. We can fight it using God's truth that he has given us to fight the enemy. I was talking about it earlier. I talked about it earlier, but God allows pain and suffering in hard times and hard seasons. So, how do we find the purpose in the pain? So, like, there is purpose in the pain. And, like, how do we find that purpose? I'm not saying look for the bright side of things, but do look at the bright side of things, because there's so much stuff that you will realize, like, okay, maybe like, sometimes when I'm going through something, like, or after the fact, like, there was this, issue that came up a couple weeks ago, and it was me. I was all in the wrong, and it was, like, completely my fault. And after, I was like, you know what? I was like, maybe God is, like, testing my character, or maybe testing to see how I'll react. So think about that. Like, is God testing because he wants to see how my character is? Is God testing because he wants to see how, like, faithful I'll be here? Does he want to test how, like, I will be kind to this person even when we're in an argument or something? Like, there's this purpose in all that pain. And, like, it obviously hurts in the moment, and I'm not trying to take away from your pain, and it's not taking away from your pain, but instead of sitting in that pain, finding the purpose in it is so important. And sometimes we find the comfort in the pain, and, like, I'm not dogging on that, because I've done that. We just need to start looking for the purpose in the pain, because there is a purpose. Again, I wrote down hard seasons shape our heart and faith, and they do. They shape us so much more than we realize. And it is something that is just so hard to see when we're in the storm. like, it's so hard to see, but and then when we're in a mess and when we are struggling, we are always like, God, why don't you feel close? Like, sometimes God does not feel close when we're stuck in the pain, but but like, sometimes God feels so far away when we're stuck in the pain, but like, He's literally right there. Like, I wrote down, God meets us in the middle of our mess. God does not meet us just in the beginning, just in the end. Like, He doesn't say, hey, and then leaves us. He is always there with us in the pain, and that's what makes it so special and so much easier to get through. Like, the pain is so much, I'm not saying it's easier to get through, but it's easier when you know that you have someone that you can trust. This book has, like, truly changed my life. And like I said, I am not a reader. I normally do not read. But when I say that this book has changed my life, I mean it, because learning that when God's timing and learning that when God's timing seems when God's timing seems questionable, and when his like when you feel like he's not there, it seems like he's trying to hurt us almost. And sometimes we doubt him, but this book tells us all about how we can get through that, and we can get closer to God in our pain. Like, we do not have to, like, getting close, like, the times that I've gotten closer to God, I haven't gotten closer to, like, from, like, the time from when I'm happy and life's going great, and from when times are going bad and everything's not going great. I can definitely tell you I've spent more time with God in the times that I've needed him. The times that aren't so happy, I have needed God more, and I've gotten a closer relationship with him because I had to depend on him. And I'm not saying I didn't depend on him in the happy times, but sometimes you get so caught up in the happy. So sometimes you need the bad stuff to happen, because that draws you closer to God. This happened when my mama passed away. I was questioning God, and I was like, God, why would you let this happen? But in reality, losing her brought me 10 times closer to the Lord. I don't think I would have gotten closer to the Lord if it wasn't for that situation. And it was not a good situation. It was not easy to get through, but I trusted God and I got through it. So I highly recommend that everybody goes and gets a copy of It's Not Supposed to Be This Way by Lysa TerKeurst. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, but I loved your book, Lysa. It was an absolutely amazing, phenomenal book. And I just want to thank you so much for writing this and being so honest with your story and being so raw and vulnerable, because it has truly helped me, and I know it's helped so many others, and it's going to continue to help so many people. So get you a copy and go follow her on Instagram. I hope you all enjoyed this episode, because I know I did. So go follow the Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, all the things. So go follow our social media. Go get some merch linked in our bio. So I love you all, and I will see you next week. Bye.